We're about news, commentary, conversations, truth, liberty, and God. We stand for American values and our flag. We believe that the Constitution is a document that fortifies rights already given to us by our Creator. We will not apologize for our love of God and country, ever. We are Right America Media.
We're moving out to the islands. That's right. Some steel drums, a little bit of rum in your beverage. I guess it makes talking politics all the more palatable.
I so need a beach day after this last week.
Well, we just had up in the, because I know that a lot of people in the southern portion of the state think that New Hampshire ends at Concord, and then everything north of Concord is basically Canada. We had 8 inches of snow yesterday. 8 inches of snow.
Where were you?
And that's, by the way, that is an actual 8 inches, not a male estimate of what 8 inches actually is. Drum roll, please. Ba-dum. All right. Actually, no, yeah.
In
8
Auburn?
inches. Huh? No, God, I don't live up in Auburn. No, I'm up in the Dartmouth Lake Sunapee region.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah.
What?
And, 8 inches of snow. So it was definitely not a beach day.
We did have snowflakes coming down that looked like, snowballs.
Oh, no, they were massive.
Yeah,
Christine and I went out for a walk in the snow yesterday. It was actually kind of fun.
Yeah.
So, all right, welcome to a brand spanking new edition of Granite State Live. Great to have you along on this Tuesday night, the 25th day of March 2025. I'm your host, Keith Hansen, the unapologetic contrarian conservative, never apologizing for my toxic white masculinity. I was born this way. As a matter of fact, doctors say it was a pre-existing condition, so insurance will not cover therapy. I love it.
I'm Tenacious Therese, back once again to give you the highlights of the week and hopefully get you all up and running and participating in the politics here in the Granite State.
And we have back, by popular demand...
Hello, I'm Julian Acciard, the blue-collar intellectual, the place you go to get your political analysis and political strategy and overall just trashing of all the grifters and influencers.
I love it when you trash grifters. I got to be honest with you, Julian. Because I know you've got a pretty robust X feed and you've got some social media following there. If people want to follow you, what's the best way for them to do that?
At Julian Acciard 1 on X and the Blue Collar Intellectual on Instagram, TikTok, all that stuff. Facebook, that's where I post all my articles and where I post updates and just repost to the show.
Cool. Our call-in number tonight, if you would like to be a part of the program and make that nice and easy for you, 833-603-8255. That's 833-603-TALK. And we'll get you on. We're going to have phone lines open during the first segment and definitely during the fourth segment of the program. And speaking of segments, this is what we have coming up tonight. Have you noticed some backlash towards Elon Musk and Tesla? If you're driving around with a Tesla, or if you're driving around in a Tesla, more appropriately, maybe you're on edge a little bit because people seem to be targeting Tesla and Tesla drivers. Got to be honest, I kind of like it when the left starts to consume itself. 2 years ago, Teslas were the greatest things ever. In fact, they were the brand for virtue signaling by the progressive left looking to bring about and concerned about, fixing the climate because, evidently we're in a climate change crisis, according to Greta Thunberg. So they're starting to consume their own, interestingly enough. So we're going to take a look at a couple of cases here, specifically in New Hampshire, and we're going to talk more about it. And we're also going to talk about whether or not this does constitute domestic terrorism. So that's going to be coming up in segment number 1, and then we're going to have open phone lines and a further conversation about that during the 4th segment, the last segment of the program. Coming up in the 2nd segment, right around 7:30, Ann Marie Banfield is going to be joining us. We're going to be talking about the effects of dismantling the Department of Education on education here in the Granite State. Also going to talk about school budgets a little bit more. And, of course, we would be remiss if we didn't get into the amount of money that is being spent on DEI curriculums and transgender curriculums in the state. So we'll continue that conversation. And speaking of that, and also speaking of when the left consumes its own, again, I love this. Imagine if you are a black Democrat and you are getting excoriated by your own party. Well, that's exactly what happened to one New Hampshire State Representative, Jonah Wheeler. So we're going to play you some audio, some video actually of that, and we're going to have a further conversation about that. And when the alphabet soup groups come to your rescue, we'll have that conversation as well, too. So all that plus your phone calls and much, much more. You saw a couple of Teslas. It will be a great night.
I saw 2 on the way down the highway tonight, and I was like, wow, I'm going to just get close and give them a thumbs up. But again, you don't know, and Lily bought a Tesla. She's driving around all over New Hampshire, showing off her Tesla on social media. But, you just don't even know. And isn't there like a scripture about the stone they roll will roll back onto them? Mm-hmm. Like, that's what this reminds me of. Like, they're keying people and they don't even know if there's the same political affiliation.
Well, it has nothing to do with that. It has everything to do with the fact that it's a symbol of Musk. So irrespective of what your political leanings, affiliations happen to be, it doesn't matter. It's guilt by association at this point. And so, I'm going to let the first one, I think this speaks for itself. The lack of critical thinking, the immaturity, the crybaby, whining, temper tantrum BS of the progressive left.
Yep.
Now, this first one here, I think we've got the video queued up. There are 4 individual segments that make this up. This was the keying, and of course that's the most common thing, right? I mean, what kind of coward goes after somebody's private property? Oh, I really showed you because I keyed your car. Have the balls to come up to me and say something to me. Don't destroy my property. That makes you a coward. Come up to me if you've got an issue with what I'm driving, or if you have an issue with a bumper sticker or something that I'm wearing. Have the balls to confront me. But no, you're a coward when you wait until nobody's there, you think nobody's watching, and then you engage in property destruction. These 4 segments here are, I believe, from the Mount Washington Hotel. Let's cue up the very first one. Now, this is video footage that is taken from the cameras on I think this was a Cybertruck, the Tesla Cybertruck. So let's play the first clip here. Now, that's the aftermath. Let's go to the first one. So if you look in the lower portion of the screen, you see the guy getting out of the car with the orange pants, and he's reaching into his pocket to grab some ostensibly sharp object. And here we can see this is being picked up by the vehicle's cameras.
Don't they know by now all these cars have cameras on them?
Tesla is watching you.
Yeah, Tesla is watching you. So, of course, afterwards, the local police department. Now, you'll see the police officer here having a conversation with the gentleman, and I use that term loosely, in the orange pants. And the police officer asks this guy, "Do you know anything about this?" And of course, this is where evidently this guy decides to claim some relationship to a group of family members there that tend to populate the inner cities. The didn't do nothing. Everybody knows that guy's name. I didn't do nothing. I didn't do nothing. So this guy didn't do nothing. Unfortunately, the Cybertruck caught this. So anyway, make a long story short, this is a first degree or Class A felony here in the state of New Hampshire. Now, the individual in the orange pants has been identified. Do we have the LinkedIn image? Mr. Producer, do we have there we go. So Jim Pellis, who is the regional sales director of Armor Code, Of course, he is, ladies and gentlemen, a masshole up here in New Hampshire, engaging in a little bit of property destruction because evidently he doesn't like, I don't know, maybe he doesn't like the Cybertruck. To be honest with you, I think they're the ugliest things on the planet, yet I don't go around keying them. So, Mr. Pellis, congratulations on your 15 minutes of fame, because I think this is actually just a breaking story here at this point. This really hasn't started to gain the traction. I would imagine that his LinkedIn page is probably going to be coming down fairly soon, and I would also imagine that Armor Code is going to be posting a job opening on Indeed for a regional sales director, because I can't imagine that Mr. Pellis is going to be remaining in his position. And if we can help in any way, shape, or form massaging this and ushering Mr. Pellis into the next chapter of his life, we're happy to do that, because I just despise these scumbags.
Hey, you know what? Armor Code, if you're looking for a regional sales director, I'll fill in between my writing books and political commentary. I mean, I
want to reach out to their HR tomorrow.
Yeah, I wouldn't key a car. Personally, I'm not a I'm
Would
a
you wear
classic
orange
car guy.
pants, though? That's the question.
I wouldn't. No.
I
might wear an orange suit just to make a statement, around Halloween or fall or something like that.
I could see you doing that.
Yeah, I like to be different, but I wouldn't key a car like this. I'm not even a Tesla truck fan. I'm a deep down gas guzzling classic car kind of guy. Like, I want my car, no matter how cold it is,
Have you
to be
seen the
able to start it up and
outside-
drive over everything.
Have you seen the protesters outside of Tesla dealerships, and then you have someone that goes by with their diesel, and somehow they put the carbs or whatever, the gasoline,
yeah.
and
Yeah,
it's
it's
black
just black
smoke, and they
smoke.
just blast them. I love it.
If we could just put the LinkedIn profile picture up here again. I just want to I just want everybody to take a look at this one more time. So, Mr. Pellis again, regional sales director. May I recommend, out in Dublin, Ohio, there is a pharmaceutical company called Solvay Pharmaceuticals. They specialize in testosterone replacement products, transdermal testosterone. It looks like Mr. Pellis here is probably a beta male suffering from an extreme case of low T.
Yeah, he could probably, go to Game Day or one of those organizations that helps get your testosterone back, to take the vegetable oil out of your supplements or something like that.
Put down the soy latte. It's not helping.
Yeah,
at
this
all.
guy reeks of pumpkin spice obsession and apple bottom jeans and Ugg boots.
Yeah. Now, this one here is not a. We've got a couple of video clips here. I don't know if this one is a Tesla. There's the one that I'm referring to is the clip of the individual in the Lakes region who has his. It's not a cyber vehicle or a cyber truck, Tesla truck, whatever you want to call those damn things. Yeah, this one here. A man from Lakes region says his car was targeted in a road rage incident due to political stickers. So if we can play this is courtesy, and I'm going to use that term loosely, of the only television station in the Granite State, WMUR.
Fake news.
Can't miss Nick's car from a mile away, and he likes it that way.
I love my country, and I express my beliefs.
But a tense encounter with another driver has him questioning the array of political stickers.
Stand right here from the baseball bat.
Nick says he was driving in Tilton Sunday morning when he noticed another driver swerving close to him.
I had my girlfriend with me at the time, and I had a gut feeling they were going to try to do something.
He caught it all on his dash camera, including the moment he says a person from the other vehicle leaned out the window and smashed his car door with a baseball bat.
Oh, yeah?
Nick requested we only use his first name because he's worried about retaliation. He believes his car was targeted.
You see it happening throughout the country. I don't have a Tesla. Well, obviously, my political beliefs makes me a target.
Nick says he's conflicted about how to move forward.
I feel like if I cave in, my First Amendment right to express myself, I'm caving in, and I'm letting fear take over.
But with no more campaigning left to do, Nick says it might be time to dial it back.
I could just put a little sticker on the bumper or something like a normal person.
And change the message.
The right course of action would be to just get rid of it and plaster Tom Brady on there.
Nick says he did give all the information to police, but he himself is not planning on pressing charges. We're live in Tilton. Isabel Litters,
Julian, what are your thoughts on that?
You know what? I'm not one for wearing another man's name on my shirt. And unless you're employing me, I'm not big on wearing another guy's face or name or putting it on my car or anything like that, unless I'm working for you and I'm promoting you or you're a candidate that I'm working for. But you should have the ability to be able to drive around with political stickers on your car without somebody vandalizing your car. I don't care whether it's AOC, Bernie Sanders, or whether it's Donald Trump and JD Vance or Elon Musk or the Purple People Eater. You should be able to drive around with people not being such... No, I won't use the word, but...
No, don't hold back.
Pussies.
Okay.
Yeah, you stop being a sobbing wet vagina and getting angry at inanimate objects that drive by with your infamous, your political opposition on it. The way I look at it, it's that guy shouldn't have to take those stickers off just to not have to fear for the destruction of his vehicle. It should be that simple.
No matter where you are in the political spectrum, you should be adult enough to, I was taught in debate class and everything else, you need to truly understand the other person's position before you can really argue or really be deeply rooted in where you've landed. So, for all those that out there that hate Trump, hate Elon, hate Republicans, hate MAGA, could you just pause for a second to try and go upstream as to why people are affiliating themselves with these gentlemen? That it brings some sort of sense of hope in that they're taking away corruption and wasteful spending, and that your tax dollar is really going to get to the person that needs it, and you're not just going to keep funding someone's new Ferrari. And I may not like this kid, I may not like his Trump all over the place, I may not agree with his political ideology, but you know what, the kid is just concerned about there being corruption in politics.
This happened to me back in 2016. I had a huge, in my Chevy Silverado, on the back, right over the truck bed, rear glass, I had a huge MAGA sticker, probably about 18 inches top to bottom, spanning the whole windshield. Getting off the on-ramp, I want to say exit 1 coming into, or on 495 coming into Plastow, somebody had thrown a rock at my rear window and shattered my rear glass. And I had to go and explain to my wife how I have to spend $300 to replace my rear glass because I put a sticker on it. She's like, well, all right, that's messed up. You drove through Mass. Well, that should tell you, because they all have Trump derangement syndrome. Don't put a sticker on next time. I go, no. If I could put a bigger sticker, I will.
That's like saying the girl who's wearing too short of a skirt deserves to be, sexually assaulted or whatever. Like, to me, when we were going into the election, I was like, we need to normalize who Trump is and not let it be so taboo. And everyone should put a yard sign. Everyone should put a sticker on. And let's be brave and courageous about this. And people are like, oh, I don't want to get my car dinged up or keyed or endangered. And to me, it is violence. It is the chilling of our it is systemic. This last few weeks I've been taking a strong stand and speaking truth, and the chilling effect of so many people who are like, I don't want to be in the middle of conflict. And yet, okay, that is how, if we're silent, we're agreeing with the corruption, you're agreeing with something you don't really agree with by default, by being quiet about it. And now you're kind of allowing it to have more power.
That's how we got to where we are.
Yeah.
That's how we got to where we are.
It's
where
really
people
dangerous.
Can't speak up is because you used to lose your job. You'd get canceled. Somebody would make you persona non grata. And it's shameful that
you can either run away from the fire, or you can run into the fire. And I think we're at a point where we got to double down and run into the fire. And I'll go. The
only way to make it through the storm is to go straight through it.
First, I'm going to be second, I'm going to be devil's advocate. First, I'm going to reset on this. If you're just joining us, Granite State Live, we are talking about the attacks on, this is specifically on, one was a Tesla, one was on a non-Tesla, but certainly a political identity. And if you would like to jump in on this conversation, phone lines are open for the next 10 minutes at 833-603-TALK. That's 833-603-8255. I'm going to be devil's advocate here for a second. If I have a couple $100, couple $1,000 in cash in my pocket, am I going to walk down the middle of Main Street after dark in Manchester counting that out? Probably not. Do I have the right to? Yes, I do.
Yeah.
Just because I can doesn't mean it's advisable. Now,
That's true.
With this thing here, you have to understand, and I think, and I don't necessarily know, I think it would have been great if we could have gotten this kid from Tilton on the program here. And I would ask him, are you doing it to piss people off? Are you doing the Trump emblazoned all over because you want to get a reaction out of somebody?
If that's the case, you're getting the reaction.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
You did. Just because you can, does it mean that you should or that it's advisable? And listen, I am the first person who will defend, you have absolutely the right to do whatever you want to do, as long as it's not inciting violence, as long as you are not encouraging people to commit crimes. You have the right to say it or to express it. And if other people don't like it, then you can look away. It does not justify, nor does it authorize or empower or excuse the act of violence, threatened violence, property destruction, or threatened property destruction. But that being said, you know that this is a politically charged environment. I don't put certain things on my vehicle. I don't put gun stickers on my car because I don't want my car being targeted. If I see a Glock sticker on somebody's car, and I'm a junkie shitbag looking for drug money, I would probably choose the car that had the gun sticker in it to break in. I'm going to look in the glove box, I'm going to look under the seat, and I'm going to look in the center console. Because chances are there's a firearm in that car.
Steal that $700 gun. And you know what? That's true. I used to use that exact same. I used to use a similar example when it came to race relations. When we argue free speech, I'm a free speech absolutist. You should be able to say whatever you want without fear of physical reprisals. But we also live in reality. I would not advise anybody to go into downtown Atlanta, into Buckhead, where all the black people live, and say nigger, 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 nigger. I wouldn't.
Oh my
I
God,
wouldn't advise that, and I wouldn't advise me showing up. And I sure as hell wouldn't show up to a Klan meeting and scream Black Power because should I have the right to?
Unless you're Clayton Bigsby.
Unless you're Clayton Bigsby, or unless you're Dave Chappelle. Now they have the right to say what they want to say, and I have the right to say what I want to say.
Indeed.
But that doesn't mean it's advisable.
Yeah,
you're not on your home turf, and there's a level. You're in New England. I'm sorry. You know what? A lot of people who love me are going to get pissed that I say this. This is not Trump country. This is not Alabama or Texas or Florida. There's a lot of Trump supporters up here, but
this
you're
is Gene Shaheen territory.
We're
baby.
behind enemy lines in New Hampshire. We're hardcore conservatives behind enemy lines, fighting to get the recognition and to get our voice out there, and to get the average man's voice to be heard, the average citizen's voice to be heard up here. And this is just not the area that's common.
You know, this is me going back to this culture doesn't want to talk about death. They don't want to talk about religion, and they don't want to talk about politics.
Well, why can't we
those
talk
are
about death?
And those are my three favorite things to talk about.
Why can't we talk about
pathetic,
death,
we should be. How pathetic is it that some kid can't have a bumper sticker, his car littered with wallpaper of who he, in a politically charged environment where everyone's trying to get someone across the finish line, to be able to do that in Tilton, New Hampshire, and not get a baseball bat while he's driving. I mean, that's pretty crazy. Whoever did that is pretty cray-cray.
I got to be honest with you. When the vehicle passed, I mean, that was a perfect. I would have just taken it. I would have swerved a little bit over to the left. I would have pit maneuvered that guy. He would have done 2 or 3 rollovers, and I would just drive by going, "Hey, you moron!"
See, this is right where the reason people do stuff like this is because I know it happened prior to social media, but this idea of keyboard warriors, of people doing things and saying things without having to suffer repercussions. Back in the day, I would have smacked you in the mouth for some shit like that. Like, you hit my car, now we're pulling over and we're boxing on the side of the freeway. And when the cops show up, I'm going to be like, he started it. He started it. I would have straight 5th grade rules, playground rules. He started it. I whooped his ass. Don't get pissed at me because he lost the fight.
Kevin often says a lot would be solved in this world if we just came back with some knuckle sandwiches.
Dude, I'm serious. I tell my kids that. That's bullying behavior.
Yeah.
That is bullying behavior, and the way you deal with a bully is you knock them the hell out. You knock their asses out,
you can't do
and
that,
they stop bullying you. I tell all my kids to do
No,
it.
and that's
If
what's
you get
wrong with
bullied,
society
you knock
today.
them out, and I will take you out for ice cream after
That's
that.
what's wrong with society. You know, I've said this many times in person speeches that I've done, and I've certainly talked about this on my radio shows. When we say the Pledge of Allegiance, we're a nation of freedoms, right?
Yeah.
We have a lot of freedoms. So when we say the Pledge of Allegiance, why is it that we don't say with freedom and justice for all? What do we say?
With liberty.
Right. Why don't we say we're a nation of freedoms? Why don't we say freedoms? Why do we say liberty? More importantly, what is the difference between freedom and liberty? Liberty is the responsible exercise of freedom.
Yep.
You are free to do
Right.
certain things. And the
As long
example
as
that
you
I would
don't harm
always
others.
use,
Right.
I am free to listen to my car stereo. I am free to drive through your neighborhood at 2:00 in the
Yeah.
morning. I have a responsibility to adjust the audio on my car stereo so that way it does not create any issues with you and your right to enjoy your property free from
There's
intrusion.
a level of respect,
or
if not to
it's-
harm others.
Absolutely.
Right.
The
Absolutely.
definition
So,
of liberty, a state of being free within society from oppressive restrictions imposed by authority on one's way of life, behavior, or political views.
I would actually I would look at Black's Law Dictionary, and I would look at a legal definition of what the term liberty is, because when
Well-
you look at the 1700s definition of that, I mean,
Oh, yes.
you know, common speak and colloquial meanings have changed, certainly.
Well, the second definition is the power or scope to act as one pleases, which basically gets down to where the average person, and this is from the Oxford definition.
You know, I think too, I've been studying this a little bit lately because there's been a lot of town politics that I've been involved in lately. But if you look back when this country was founded, how do we hold people accountable? You spoke truth. And if you didn't want to be shamed, you didn't do something that was shameful.
Agreed.
And they brought him down to the town square, which now is like maybe our Facebook community pages. And they said, listen, so-and-so is an elected official, and he showed up so, gorked out of his brain, he couldn't represent you. You ought to know this, because when he comes up for re-election, you may want to think about the fact that he's decisioning $50 million and the future of your children. But instead, as soon as you speak truth like that today, you're being a bully. You're like, how taboo. Like, it's become like you don't say anything that
what was that
speaks
individual's
truth about.
name? What was that individual's name again?
Dan York.
Dan York. All right. So this is a position of the school board is a position of public trust.
Yes.
And last I checked, you're not able, and the school board meetings are held on school grounds.
True.
You're not able to drink alcohol, to have any illicit materials on school grounds, or be intoxicated on school grounds, or have any paraphernalia on school grounds. The fact that he admitted to being stoned at a public event while he was in a position of public trust on school grounds, is that not a felony?
The chief of police asked me about it, and I told him exactly what was said. There was 10 witnesses, but the thing is, we used to tar and feather people, right?
I'm not advocating for tarring,
I'm not
feathering people.
I'm
Just
not
a good
either.
ass
I think
whooping.
we should.
I mean,
Well,
we've
I
gone
think
from
both.
one extreme to the other, where you can't even speak truth as to what someone just did that's representing you and your family and all your property tax money and your children's education without getting completely, blasted. Like, what's the issue with pot? I don't have an issue with pot. I honestly don't.
If you're going to here's the bottom line. If you're going to represent people, if you're going to operate in a professional capacity, then you don't show up under the influence of any type of mind-altering substances, period.
Just be
you do
clear-minded.
your job to the best of your ability. All right, that's going to put a wrap on the first segment. Going to take a very, very quick break. When we come back, we're going to be talking about the dismantling of the Department of Education with Ann Marie Banfield. If you are an education junkie, this is one segment you're not going to want to miss. Much more coming up right after this.
I'm Kristi Noem, the United States Secretary of Homeland Security. Thank you, President Donald J. Trump, for securing our border and putting America first. Let me deliver a message from President Trump to the world. If you are considering entering America illegally, don't even think about it. Let me be clear. If you come to our country and you break our laws, we will hunt you down. Criminals are not welcome in the United States. For too long, weak leadership has left our borders wide open, flooding our communities with drugs, human trafficking, and violent criminals. Well, those days are over. Under President Trump, we are defending American families and restoring their safety. If you try to enter illegally, you will be caught. You will be removed, and you will never return. Follow the law, and you'll find opportunity. If you break it, you'll find consequences. Strong borders mean a stronger America. President Trump is making America safe again.
Not everyone can get up every day and look for ways to piss people off. But here at GraniteRock.com, we do that almost every day. I can't tell you how many times someone's lost their SHIT and threatened to end us. We're still here, pissing people off. It's almost like we enjoy it. And we've been doing it since 2006. That's almost 2 decades of news, politics, and opinion, and now podcasts, and we're just getting started. We believe in principles before parties and politicians. We defend free markets and individual liberty, and if that makes you mad, it makes us smile. We're like Grandma after she stopped caring what other people thought. If that sounds refreshing, you need to check us out. This is Steve McDonald for Granite Rock, and we'll keep shining the light on them for you.
Good pick. All right, that's a great song. I haven't heard that one in a while. And then I heard Jose say, I forgot what the rest of it is. So it's a good song though. Welcome back to a 25th day of March edition of Granite State Live. First show of spring. Actually, spring has sprung.
Amen.
Yep. Finally, things are changing out there. Things are changing in the world of politics. We have the, at least in theory, we have the Department of Education going the way of the dinosaur. Boy, things are getting good.
Yeah. So, certainly people are just like, what does this mean? And I think everyone's been able to probably figure it out a little bit. Kids are still going to be fed and, the money that goes to elementary K through 12 is not really going to be touched, and really the impact isn't all that much. But as I was noodling all of this and researching all of this and working with our own school budget nightmare, I discovered one of the reasons why Trump is doing this is because of the influence of the teachers unions in Washington, D.C. They are the top contributor to political campaigns. Mm-hmm. $56 million in 2022. How can the people vote and pick the right legislators to represent us when one candidate is getting $55 million for advertisements, TV, and we're getting, completely inundated with one particular person? And, I didn't realize union dues were $700 to $800 a teacher a year. And $800 for every single teacher. And 90% of that is going to political campaigns. So not only are
So what you're
property
saying is
taxes
it's not going to representing the teachers, which is what teachers unions are supposed to do.
5 to 10% is going to the teachers with
Yep.
all this diligence that I've done. And I was shocked because I was already livid that, 70% of my property taxes are going to the school district with no transparency or accountability, and that my children are going to the school district where when we go into, Jonah and what we have coming up, parents didn't have rights, and we should be able to go and observe a class. We're paying you. You work for us. We are your bosses. And so we've been shut out of that process. We're sending them all our money. We're sending them our children. And now the teachers, $700 per teacher, that adds up really fast.
So look at
That's big money.
And this is the loop, this self-fulfilling loop that
crazy.
happens. The teachers union, so teachers are forced to put their money into teachers unions.
Well, it's
The teachers
voluntarily.
Voluntarily.
Because they can't use it for, from what I'm reading, they can't use it for political campaigns unless it's voluntary. So they do have an option, but they are very much, you're either part of the union or you are the odd man out on campus, right?
So then the money goes into the teachers unions. The teachers unions don't use the majority of that money towards advocating for teacher salaries or anything like that, or teacher
Workshops.
contracts or workshops or tools or stuff like that. And this is where I tell people to be wary, because when when you're trusting a teachers union to advocate for your kids, you're trusting the fox and letting them in the hen house, because that fox, that teachers union is not there to represent your kids. They're not there to educate your kids. They're there to represent the teachers, and they're not
Collective
even representing
bargaining
the
and
teachers.
getting them a good salary and good benefits.
And they're not even representing the teachers when the majority of it goes towards buying a politician to
Yep.
get the politicians in office to pass favorable things in favor of the teachers unions, not necessarily in favor of the teachers or the students themselves. So our kids don't have proper advocates for them. They have a group of people who are constantly advocating for their own best interests, advocating for the school, the infrastructure of the school, the system itself, the teachers unions, the teachers, the administrators, and the teachers unions are directly responsible for this mass hiring of administrators and non-teaching staff over the past 40 years.
So let's bring on Ann Marie Banfield. She's my go-to person whenever I have something that has to do with education, her and Frank Edelblue. So Ann Marie, I think you're out there waiting to come on with us.
Can you hear me?
I can.
There we go.
you
Ann
are.
Marie, welcome to the program. Thanks so much for coming on.
So Ann Marie's kind of been following. I kind of added her to a group chat, and I just so the viewers know, I have now cut my district's budget, and I've been the center of attention on all this. And now, as of last night, they've eliminated 21 positions within the district. So now I'm the spawn of Satan because I've destroyed these teachers that love our children, and what an evildoer I must be. But come to find out, we have diligently for months, maybe 3 months now, gone to every meeting, asked questions, trying to figure out this budget and where the money is going. Where did all the COVID money go? Why do they need a 17% increase over 3 years when enrollment's gone down? We've got class sizes that are less than 10 to 1. We've got a $500,000 track that was replaced with no approval through the policy approval process. We've got $2 million overrun. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. And, one meeting they'll tell us there's 300,000 surplus in the food services. The next meeting, no, it's in a deficit. And we just could not pin them down. And I'm from finance. I'm like, this should not be this hard. This should not be this hard. We should be able to figure it out. Well, come to find out, those 21 positions boiled down to 3 individuals, 2 of which are going to be offered a different position, a better package, and the third person is going to be offered something but may not take it. So in the end, one person is truly being impacted as far as not having a pension, health care, job, potentially if they choose to turn down what the district offers them. But the way it was all packaged, it was so dramatic, so incredibly dramatic. And, it felt retaliatory that we didn't give you the budget you wanted. We gave you a 3% over last year, and you wanted 6.89. Because you didn't get that, now you're going to impact the children versus looking at a full school bus that only has 5 people riding on that school bus, moving that down to maybe a passenger van, or the Chromebooks are $300 a piece and not going back and advocating for a better deal on those Chromebooks and save money that way. There were so many things we identified that superintendent just would not even entertain. In fact, it got to the point we had to get legal involved because he was going to make the decisions on his own without the board's input. So it really went cuckoo cuckoo. But the last night, I did the public comment and the closing at the end, and I brought up this revelation that I've had about the union dues, and you're all paying $700 in union dues, but you're not paying anything in a health premium. You know, that $700 is going to political campaigns. It's not even going. How did the school become political? It should be apolitical. It doesn't make any sense to me. So, Ann Marie, help me understand what you know about the Department of Education being dismantled, the influence the teachers' unions have had, and just kind of your thoughts on the last week or two of everything we've seen with what Trump is doing.
Sure. So, you mentioned representation, and I think what we have in New Hampshire is we have teachers represented by a union, we have school boards represented by the New Hampshire School Boards Association, you have administrators represented by the New Hampshire School Administrators Association. You have absolutely nobody representing parents and students. So I've been doing this for 20 years, trying to help parents navigate the public school system and any other education system they're in. You bring up the teachers' unions. I think it's really important to understand that when you talk about the unions, you're talking about the heads of the teachers' unions locally in New Hampshire, and then also nationally. The individual teachers, you're going to rarely hear me really criticize them because they're stuck in this mess. And some of them are very good teachers. They go into it for the love of learning. For the love of teaching. Mm-hmm. They have their heart in it. And so a lot of times they're thrown into this mess. So we need to distinguish between the actual union representatives and the actual teachers. And yes, they're pretty much, you can say they're not forced, but they're pretty much forced to join the union. Some don't, and good for them.
Do you think the teachers realize that those union dues are going to these far left political candidates?
I mean, if they don't, they're not doing their homework. But regardless, what everybody should know is that the teachers' union is a front for the Democrat Party.
Yes.
Period.
Yeah.
Period. I've seen so many times where they are not looking out for the teachers. They're certainly not looking out for the students and parents. So when you look at the union's representation, you have to understand that they are a front for the Democrat Party. When you understand that, everything else makes sense.
So I found, sorry to interrupt you, Ann Marie, I found Freedom Foundation. It's a national organization that's there to try and make sure that teachers understand where those union dues are truly going. And I have a little clip here from the founder because they're basically doing what this show is all about. Okay, we discover a problem. What can we do to help? What action can we do that might help this situation? So I want to make sure everyone knows about Freedom Foundation. One, can you play the little clip we have of the 19 to 56 moment? It just shows the founder of that organization, what he has to say about teacher unions. And if you need a minute to cue that up, we can kind of talk about it here. But Ann Marie, do you have a sense of how many teachers we have in the state of New Hampshire?
I don't, and I don't know how many belong. I know that there are some schools that do not have a union. I don't believe Amherst even has a union because I've talked to the there.
And I want anyone that's watching or listening tonight to understand if you know of a teacher. Oh, nope. That's okay. We may not be able to get that clip from Freedom Foundation, but there are other alternatives. So if I'm a teacher and I want something in case I get sued for saying the wrong thing or doing the wrong thing in the classroom and parents come after me, there are alternatives that you can align yourself with or get insurance through that give you the true protection that you may be thinking would be the benefit of being part of the union, correct?
That's a really good idea because that way your money is not going towards an organization that you may fundamentally oppose. But
Right.
what you have to understand is these teachers a lot of times are under attack in their classroom by the forces that are really destroying public education in general.
Right.
So they're caught in the middle where parents are fighting for better quality public schools, but then you have this entity which involves education reformers at the top pushing these reforms in the classroom. And the teachers can see a lot of times that the reforms are not working. And so a lot of times they feel that they need representation. And in
Right.
some ways, I don't blame them. But unfortunately, the people that they are looking to help them are not really doing what they should be doing to help teachers. They're just a political organization. So, they're kind of caught in the middle of this.
So here I am at my local school district, and I bring this forward in front of everybody, only to find out the new school board member is married to Jean Shaheen's point office manager for the last 7-8 years. So I kind of kicked the bee's nest because when I realized it's $55 million going to Jean Shaheen's political campaign, I quickly understood why the board chair shut me down very quickly, that what I was articulating was false information. We have this clip from Freedom Foundation. I want everyone here in New Hampshire, if this is something you're passionate or you're like, wow, I can't believe that our public schools are funding the Democrat Party, I want you to check out this website because I think we need a chapter here in New Hampshire to protect the teachers who want to teach, who went into teaching to do the right thing by our children, and they feel like they're in this political nightmare. Well, they're just trying to do their job. There is an alternative for them, and we need to make sure that that awareness gets out there for them because I want to save our public schools. I want them to be healthy, and I think Trump does too. I think that's what we're trying to do is take this whole component out of it, all the lobbying, so that we're not influenced by all this money on who to represent us versus we the people truly selecting and electing the right individuals to represent us at every level. Juan has a clip.
From the
Here it
Freedom
goes.
Foundation. He's the CEO. Aaron Whip. Aaron, great to have you back on the show.
Hey, John. Thanks for having me on.
You had an amazing op-ed recently titled "Government Unions Divert Dues to Leftist Politics." Talk a little bit about what that's about. I don't think a lot of Americans know that a lot of people in this country don't have a say over where their union does go.
Yeah, that's right. Government unions are the number one contributors to liberal politicians in America. They take billions of dollars each year and divert those dollars into leftist policies and politicians like Joe Biden. The scandal of this is that this money is being taken from your everyday teachers and state workers and other government employees that they've worked for. This is money that belongs in their paychecks. It does not belong in these campaign coffers. But unions are forcibly taking this money and using it to fund a radical political agenda.
Ann Marie, any closing topic, or you guys have any thoughts on that? I mean, $55 million. Number one.
I think the biggest thing for me is just get the unions the hell out of everything. Everything.
They're just
The
lobbyists.
unions have lost their efficacy.
Right.
They were great when 5-year-olds were falling into meat grinders, all the jungle, Upton Sinclair. The unions have literally lost their anything outside of being means of funneling money into the Democrat Party. They're corrupt. The only people that are making money. Do you remember the longshoremen? Remember the long? Oh, absolutely. Oh, I'm glad you said that. Remember the longshoremen when? The longshoremen. These guys are getting screwed. And the guy who says it, he's this pinky ring wearing Guido Goomba from New Jersey, driving a couple of Bentleys and a $6 million house, and the guy's collecting 2 salaries, the least of which was $650,000 a year. You want to talk about? Yeah, actually, one, play the clip. Now, this is comedy, but you know what? Oftentimes, truth is spoken in jest. This is from the 1986 movie with John Candy and Eugene Levy called Armed and Dangerous. Play this clip. This is great.
In addition, as licensed security guards, you'll be required to join a union, the International Alliance of Special Police and Guards. These are your union representatives, Mr. Klepper and Mr. Lazarus.
Thank you, Clarence. The initiation fee is $30 payable now. If you can't pay, don't worry. We'll deduct it from your first paycheck. Thereafter, the weekly dues will be $15 and will be deducted automatically. The forms are in front of you on the desk. Sign them and pass them forward. Any questions?
Yes, I have a question. Minor point. What if we don't want to join?
This is a union shop. You want to work, you join.
Well, I don't want to speak out of school, but $15 a week to me seems excessive. Now, where does this money go?
Well, that money goes to your pension and welfare fund.
Ah. And when are the benefits paid?
When you're 65.
65?
Hey, what's with all the questions? This is your union. It's for your own protection. So shut up and sign the fucking form.
Do you have a pen?
People want the job. They want the benefits. That's what they've gone to school for.
Yeah.
Isn't that what we used to call a protection racket?
It's a protection racket, yeah. Hey, you paid $150 a week. Otherwise, your bakery could burn down,
So here's some numbers for you. The National Assessment of Educational Progress, the NAEP, paints a grim picture. Reading scores remain at a flat since 1980. Math scores inch up mere 1% per decade. That's what they're fighting for. A system that systemically fails. Imagine if the auto workers union were saying, hey, your car might not turn on today, or it might fall apart at 95 miles an hour on the freeway. That's what we're fighting for.
So, Juan, I'm going to have you play this next clip of this young mom, because everyone says I'm not for the kids. I am so for the kids. I am so for sending my boys off to somewhere healthy. But listen to this young mom and her concerns about sending her child off to school.
Hi, I'm Kaylee Weichbrot. I'm a mom of 2 in Fairfax County. This is my oldest. And my husband and I have a difficult decision to make this fall, as he is approaching preschool age, and we are faced with the decision of whether or not we are going to put our child in public school system where Fairfax County has decided to move forward with instituting gender studies in elementary school. Despite having done a study group, a focus group in the community to see if parents even wanted this. And when parents said no, the board voted 16-0 and said we're moving forward anyways. This shows clearly that they see parents not as partners, but as an obstacle for their agenda. And I have a really hard time looking at him and going, here, I'm just going to give you over to people who do not want to partner with me in how you're going to be raised. School and education is a huge part of a child's life. And early childhood is supposed to be filled with exploration and creativity and fun, not debating issues that are for adults to handle. These kinds of topics should be introduced sensitively and by parents who are raising their children with their values, not with an ideology passed down from the top.
It's funny when she talks about that childhood should be filled with exploration. Well, that's exactly what the progressive Democrats want. They want your children exploring gay sex. They want your children exploring, or they want maps exploring your kids, minor attracted persons.
They're doing it in the name, and Jonah segments coming up here soon too, but they're doing it in the name of they want to make sure our children are respectful and kind to people who are different than them. So introduce early on a transgender man and normalize it so that your child is respectful and kind to them as they become adults. We can all teach our children to be respectful and kind regardless of who someone is, without bringing in sexuality.
We teach children to be respectful and kind to people in wheelchairs.
Yeah,
exactly.
exactly.
We teach people to be respectful and kind to people of different color. It doesn't mean that we're hey, listen, now we're going to encourage you to go out and get, pigment trans, or you're going to be, what are these people now that
transracial?
The handicap ones. They cut their own legs off because they identify as being handicapped. This is a mental illness. And this is what happens when you get over medication of kids and you get the normalization of mental illnesses. This is what this boils down to. Ann Marie, am I being too much of a radical here?
No, and I think that this is why they want to shut down the Department of Education. To circle back to that, where a lot of this comes from, it comes from outside the school system. Think about it. This didn't just pop up in one or two schools. This flooded schools across the United States. The only way that can happen is when there is a national effort. And normally that national effort starts with the U.S. Department of Education through grants. Grants are a huge factor in all of this. Schools apply for grants, the state gets grants, and a lot of that money comes into your schools with strings attached. So in order for you to get that money in your school, you have to do A, B, C, and D. When you agree to that, and then it starts coming into the school, like that young mom who just got up there and spoke, she's out of her league. If that school accepted that grant money, they're going to do it. And she's going to go up there and say, wait a second, I don't really like this. Why don't you guys rethink this? Having no idea that she's competing with the federal government grants. And so parents go ignored, they go marginalized, they are discounted, and have no idea why these people, these 16 people on their school board, are ignoring them. They're not ignoring them because she didn't make a good point. She made an excellent point. But what they're seeing inside their school is, we have to do this because Title IX changed under President Obama. He read it as, we need to include gender into Title IX, whereas Title IX was supposed to help.
What percentage of an average school district is grant money that they're operating off of?
Well, that
do you have any idea?
All different. Yeah, I wouldn't know that.
Okay.
You'd have to look.
I'm
at
curious.
Each individual school. But what has happened is, in a lot of times, the school board members don't even know about this grant money, or they're not even understanding that the grant money buys their control, buys their power. Everything is in the grant that you sell to the grant foundation. So a lot of times school board members just don't care.
Right.
They're there to rubber stamp, and they don't care that they've just sold their power.
And we've talked offline about this, but you told me this got ushered in. A lot of this social change and social advocacy got ushered in under the Every Student Succeeds Act that was passed in 2015 under President Obama. So people don't even understand that this is rooted in law. That this is statutory at this point. There's no getting away from it because the statute is still there, and we still have federal representatives in New Hampshire. We're not even normal people. Normal parents aren't being represented at the federal level and we don't have support to get things overturned at the federal level because our federal representatives are in the pocket of the teachers unions that push for this in the first place.
Yes, ESSA is 1,061 pages of federal law in your classroom. ESSA replaced No Child Left Behind. So if you go through the 1,061 pages, you're going to see a provision in there that states that the U.S. Secretary of Education has to approve all state education plans. New Hampshire has to submit a state education plan every year, and the Secretary of Education has to sign off on that. And if she does not, she being the new Secretary of Education, then they can withhold funding. So who really controls your school? who's really holding the keys to what is going on in your school?
They're getting all of our taxes. They're getting our children. And we have absolutely...
Yep.
Yeah.
I think the bottom line is that as much emphasis as possible needs to be put on the roles of these unions, where the special interest money is going to, where the special interest money is coming from, who controls it, and what the agendas of those individuals happen to be. Real quick, Ann Marie, if people want to learn more about you and your work, how can they get a hold of you, or how can they read you or connect with you on social media?
So they can contact me through my Facebook account. They can also contact me. I'm a writer for Granite Grok. So if they go to Granite Grok and they look for authors and they look for Ann Marie Banfield, they can find the articles that I write. And then they can also find my email address, which is on, I think, every article that I write. So they're more than welcome to contact me. And believe it or not, I get a lot of emails from teachers that do not want their names shared, and I keep everything confidential. They can contact me anytime.
Ann Marie, you've done great work. It's been a privilege following you and working with you over the past couple of years here. Keep up the good work. Don't ever let them silence you.
Thank you, and they've tried.
Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you very much. All right, that's going to do it for segment number 2 of the program. I'm going to take a quick commercial break. Segment 3, hour number 2 of the program, we're going to be talking about what happens when the progressive left goes after one of their own lawmakers right here in New Hampshire. Much more of Granite State Live coming up right after this. Don't go away. Tequila.
I'm Kristi Noem, the United States Secretary of Homeland Security. Thank you, President Donald J. Trump, for securing our border and putting America first. Let me deliver a message from President Trump to the world. If you are considering entering America illegally, don't even think about it. Let me be clear. If you come to our country and you break our laws, we will hunt you down. Criminals are not welcome in the United States. For too long, weak leadership has left our borders wide open, flooding our communities with drugs, human trafficking, and violent criminals. Well, those days are over. Under President Trump, we are defending American families and restoring their safety. If you try to enter illegally, you will be caught, you will be removed, and you will never return. Follow the law, and you'll find opportunity. If you break it, you'll find consequences. Strong borders mean a stronger America. President Trump is making America safe again.
Not everyone can get up every day and look for ways to piss people off. But here at GraniteRock.com, we do that almost every day. I can't tell you how many times someone's lost their SHIT and threatened to end us. But we're still here, pissing people off. It's almost like we enjoy it. And we've been doing it since 2006. That's almost 2 decades of news, politics, and opinion, and now podcasts, and we're just getting started. We believe in principles before parties and politicians. We defend free markets and individual liberty, and if that makes you mad, it makes us smile. We're like Grandma after she stopped caring what other people thought. If that sounds refreshing, you need to check us out. This is Steve McDonald for Granite Rock, and we'll keep shining the light on them for you.
right, so, Therese, I got to ask you, you get one guess. Who is that?
Streisand?
Oh, that was Juice Newton. Angel of the Morning from 1981, I believe, if
I
I'm
was
not mistaken.
7 years old.
So, was that correct? Was that 81?
6 years old.
It was. How about that? Look at that, man. Do I know
I
my
could
Hot
sing
100
the song,
or what?
but,
So,
I'm bad with trivia.
Yeah.
I'm going to have dementia really early, I think.
that was actually, my morning drive show, 10 hours, 4 hours each morning. And so every segment, we would always, I just played music that I loved.
Mm-hmm.
And, I was born in 73, so I try to disregard the disco era, but the music from the 80s, for me, was phenomenal. I think 90s music absolutely sucks. Anything from the 2000s, it just absolutely sucks. But 80s music, especially 86 and 87, were some of the most phenomenal years for music.
So
Early 80s,
I
good
actually,
stuff. Yacht rock.
I actually
Yacht rock.
like. So I actually like 80s, 90s, and nothing past the Carter 3. Like when it comes to rap, hip hop, like old school lyricism, where people actually used to rap about things that mattered, like Tupac and stuff. When up until 2007, 2008. After that, everything went to crap. That was mumble rap came in, and pop music, and Taylor Swift, and all that crap. It's Cardi B and all those rappers. It got to a point where I'm like, nope. I listen to old jams. All the way back to like 1950s now. Jazz, blues, classic rock.
You know what my favorite jam is?
What?
Strawberry.
Strawberry.
All right, we're going to jump over to the phone line. We've got Dan calling from Hampshire. Dan, welcome to the program. What's on your mind? I think we got Dan. Dan, do we got you? Dan, going once. Dan.
All right, someone needs to call in and test our phone lines.
Okay,
I'm going to
I have this.
We're going to go on to Jonah.
I have this
here.
interface here, but I'm just going to let Juan do it.
All
so,
right.
Juan, I don't know. Do we have him? It says that he's connected. Dan, are you there? Do. Maybe we need more Juice Newton to bring him out.
No.
All right. So, So continue with that thought. I apologize.
So I put out there what do people want us to be talking about, and they are talking about they want to see what just happened, in New Hampshire. Have we heard anything about any cost savings in New Hampshire? So that would be a good topic. We may not make that here tonight, but I know you wanted to talk about Jonah Wheeler, rock star, the State House.
The rock star state rep who
So
stood up
impressed by
against
this man.
his party. He stood up
That's
against
so
his
impressive.
party, and he stood up for women, and he's been consistent on this.
He has been. He's young. I've watched him for several. Is this his third term?
Yes.
Second term.
I think this is second term.
Second term. He is so articulate. He is just so well put together, well thought out. Like his emotional control. Like I want to grow up to be someone like Jonah. He is such an impressive kid.
I will admit, he is, so New Hampshire's like 92% white. Me and him totally, together, and Ryan Terrell, we make up, I'd say, about 80% of the black population in the state. And as a black man standing there on the stage, at the podium giving this speech, and then the left hit him with the you're supporting Jim Crow or civil rights violations. You're supporting Jim Crow 2.0 and all this stuff. And I'm sitting here going, really?
I love it.
You
I gotta
do
be
the
honest,
racial
Julian.
shaming because
I
he bothered to say that a dude is not a girl, or that a 6'4" teenage boy can't dunk on a 5'6" girl. Like, what world are we living in?
And Jonah,
and all he did was take a reasonable stance that, these people are not biologically girls and shouldn't be able to kick the crap out of girls.
See, here's the cool thing about this,
simple.
though. First of all, we accuse the NHGOP of practicing mushroom management. Feed them a load of crap, keep them in the dark, cut their heads off when you no longer need them. But that is absolutely the case when it comes to progressive Democrats, especially the cutting the heads off. Sooner or later, All right, and it was always interesting when you would see, especially like during these people that advocate for communism. It's either Che Guevara. Half the people that are advocating wearing Che Guevara shirts are the very same people who would have been the first to be executed by that madman. It's amazing when these people advocate for things and then it turns to bite them in the ass. And if this isn't a wake-up call for Jonah.
I mean, never actually read any of these guys, their work, so it's easy for them to take the positions because they haven't read Marx, they haven't read Che Guevara, they haven't read Trotsky or Goebbels or any of these people that they're espousing the nonsense of. Mm-hmm. And the reason why they're able to stand up there with seeming impunity as they just trash this black man, saying that he's somehow less black, because that's what they were getting at, is that you're betraying your race by taking this position against guys playing sports against girls in girls' sports and taking away women's spaces. They were doing this because they've tied, and this is what we spoke about during Black History Month, they tie all of their niche issues to black people in order to use our activism infrastructure and our ability to wield culture to push their ideas.
We've got Dan that's back on here, so we're going to try to connect Dan here. Dan from Hampshire, welcome to the program. What's on your mind?
What's up, Dan?
Dan the man, where are you? You there?
Oh no, I was looking forward to hearing from Dan.
Yeah.
So Jonah had an event tonight, right? Mm-hmm. And he was it the LBG was coming in to support him?
Yes, there's a lesbian, gay, bisexual alliance that are basically ditching the Q and the T, and they're coming out to support him over taking his very reasonable and well thought out stance.
So the trannies don't, or I'm sorry, the gays and the lesbians don't, and the bis, they don't want the trannies playing in their sandbox.
Yeah, because they've been dragged in. The gay rights movement and all that started out as we're queer, we're weird, we know it. We're not trying to be normal. Just let us do our thing. And I was like, all right, I don't care what you do in your bedroom or what you do with your partner.
Pursue your
it's
happiness.
None of my business. Yeah.
And it's funny because people, I mean, I've been accused of everything that you could possibly imagine. Mm-hmm. And I've said this and I've been very consistent on my media since I started.
Yep.
I don't care. Mm-hmm. I don't care who you love. If you are lucky enough to find love in this world and you find that with somebody of your own gender, hey, listen, you know what? Just be the best person that you can be. I'm not a prosecutor nor a sheriff for the kingdom of heaven. That's up to you and your creator and between you and your creator. Yep. If you find love, then listen, do what you're going to do. But here's the thing. Mm-hmm. Just like we talked about earlier, the difference between freedom and liberty is the recognition of and the exercise of responsibility with those freedoms.
Yep.
You want to be respected, be respectable.
Yep.
Because the average person doesn't give a rat's ass what you're doing in your bedroom behind the privacy of your own, or behind the privacy of your own door, in the privacy of your own home. What they care about is when you're running around in a jockstrap and assless chaps shaking your testicles in the face of a 5-year-old.
Exactly.
That's what they have a problem with.
What I have the issue with is there's a difference, and I tell my kids this, there's a difference between tolerance and acceptance. Tolerance is letting other people live their lives to the best degree they physically can without interfering in their lives and without them interfering in yours. Acceptance is this forced idea that I must agree and advocate for whatever lifestyle you choose. And now you're coming into the realm of I have my own opinions, my own beliefs, and my own way of living, and I'm not going to advocate for you or for whatever you're doing because I may not believe in that. This means I don't respect you as an individual, as a person, and your right to make choices. It just means I'm not going to advocate for something that I don't believe in, and you shouldn't be trying to force me to.
I think we have we're going to try to reconnect the caller again. Caller, are you there?
Third time. So I was called again a Christian nationalist this week. We're going to have to dive into that in one of these shows. But I had to reset the record for this person. I said, he stands at the door and knocks. He does not barge his way in. Mm-hmm. And that, that's the Jesus I believe in. He doesn't force himself on us. And I will fight for your constitutional right to pursue your unique pursuit to happiness all day long. This is your story. But your choice, what you've accepted, you can't force me to accept it. That's like asking me to leave. Like, I can tolerate, I can be happy for you. I don't care what you do in your bedroom. But I saw a headline this week that heterosexual males need to date trans women because otherwise you're a bigot.
I love this. You're a hate monger because we have to eliminate the hate because 98% of heterosexual men don't want to date a transgendered female.
But they're a woman.
I'm seeing
no, they're not a woman.
Stuff.
They're not a woman.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, it's like the not McFly. What was the state rep Mc something or other there, the one that got excoriated in a committee hearing, McBride.
Yes.
Okay.
McBride.
Listen, here's the thing. I don't care what kind of Frankenstein-esque surgeries you perform on your genitalia. If you were born a man and you lop it off and you call yourself a woman, when you're 40 years of age, it is still recommended you get a prostate exam.
Mm-hmm.
Bottom line.
I just look at it. It's real simple. It's just none of my business. This is none of my business.
But it becomes your business when they're forcing it down the throats of your kids.
Exactly.
That's when it becomes your business.
You can't tell me that I'm transphobic because I don't want to tie one off with you.
So if my beliefs, if my personal beliefs in my bedroom is that that's a lie, and you're going to force me to lie, which with my religion is maybe, my eternity hangs in the balance because now I'm lying. You're asking a lot of me.
Oh, no, I just put it at a really simple level. What you're trying to do is you're using society to institutionalize rape, because that's what you're telling me is I'm unwilling to sleep with you or to find you attractive because I just don't find you attractive. This is no different than saying that you must be attracted to old people, you must be attracted to handicapped people, you must be attracted to fat people. This is like, it's asinine that you can tell somebody that they have to be attracted to you. No one's owed attraction. Right. No one's owed a partner. No one's owed acceptance. You're owed tolerance. You're owed the ability to live your life
respectful and kind to you.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I will be respectful to the degree that you were respectful to me. I think Jonah actually nails it when he gives his speech. Mr. Producer, can we cue that clip up?
But, Mr. Speaker, the powerful anecdotes of one person and the consent of one person cannot stand for the consent of another person. And if there are women who feel unsafe, if there are women who feel like their space has become not private, then we should listen to those women. And just because a small segment of the population would like those policies to accommodate them over women doesn't mean that we here today can do that. So, Mr. Speaker, for us, and I pause because my colleagues are walking out as I give this speech. People are clapping in the gallery for their walking out. And Mr. Speaker, I think that illustrates exactly why I got up here today. I could have quietly voted my conscience, could have followed the party line, but Mr. Speaker, again, the consent of one person cannot stand for the consent of another. And just because one person is comfortable with a transgender woman being in the bathroom with them or playing sports with them or being in a prison with them doesn't mean that another woman is. And these issues do not have to cause violence. These conversations can be nuanced, and we can have conversations about treating each other with respect and humanity. And putting in place policies that say that women who were born women deserve a space to themselves, whether that be the bathroom or sports or the locker room or prisons, is not transphobic. And
first of all, I'm I'm beyond words when the Democrats are walking out like, oh well, we're gonna show these people by walking out. Do us a favor, walk out and stay the hell out permanently.
Don't come back.
Don't come back. You're a cancer. We don't want you. Move to Massachusetts. They love you down there. I got to give this kid credit. He's number one, he's sharp. Number two, he's articulate. And number three, this kid has got 9-pound brass balls because he is willing to stand up for what he believes in and buck the convention of his own party. I give him credit for that.
I give credit to
tremendous
anybody
amount of credit.
who's willing. It's easy to stand against your opposition. It's hard to stand against your friends.
Own.
Yeah.
So when somebody stands up and says, this is not fundamentally what we should be standing for, I have respect for you. I have respect. I may not even necessarily agree with the position sometimes, but I respect your ability to stand on principles and not to waver when the crowd tells you that you're wrong, especially when it's the crowd who supposedly call you friends, who smile in your face and then are quick to throw you under the bus and to run over you and then back up in reverse and do it a couple more times.
Do it again.
This kid has a bright career because he is not there to make friends.
Yeah.
He's there to do what he feels is right. And that takes a lot of integrity. That takes a lot of character. It takes
balls.
Right.
It takes balls, really.
And there's a handful, we've got a handful of young state reps that have so much promise.
And mark my words, we will see him.
So impressive.
We will see him in a federal race. And I'd say within the next 10 years, we will see him in a state senate race or in a race. And you know what? I think he'll win. With that way that he presents himself and being able to take the reasonable stance and to stand for reason, that position that he took is where 80% of the state lands on this issue.
The populace right now, you think about it, Trump was once a Democrat, Elon was once a Democrat, RFK, Tulsi. People want people who are going to do what is right.
Just be real.
And
just
notice,
be real.
Notice the people that you mentioned. Every single one of them didn't start out as Republicans. They all started out as Democrats, and their transition to moving away from the Democrats was because they bucked the party on a single issue, and the party found that completely intolerable. You are not, and this goes back to what we were saying before. In a Republican Party, we will agree on 9 out of 10 things and kill each other over the one. They'll agree on 9 out of 10 things and they will work together and put that one aside, but they're no longer that party anymore. Now they've gotten to the point where it's universal agreement, or you're out of the club. You're no longer welcome to the cocktail party.
But you know what's beautiful? In Peterborough tonight at the library, people are coming together to support Jonah.
No, and they
LGBT,
should.
Republicans, Democrats,
and I'm sure
huge wave of people who said, thank you. This is what we want. This is the fresh blood and integrity we want representing us and our families.
I'm sure the left is not done with him, and here's why. The social justice warrior machine is coming out right now. This is political correctness at its finest, and I need people to understand how insidious political correctness is. I mean, remember going back to PC, right? I mean, you're not short, you're vertically challenged, you're weight challenged, you're not dead, you're terminally disadvantaged. We had to candy coat things, not like the average person, needs the extra calories. The court of public opinion is an insidious machine. We have the right to due process. If you're accused of a crime, you have a right to face your accuser. You have a right to examine all of the evidence. You have a right to a speedy trial. And the court of public opinion does none of that. The court of public opinion is convened when it is convenient. There is a trial and there is a sentencing phase with none of your participation whatsoever.
And nobody shows up to find out what the conviction was.
And here's the issue with this. Okay, and this is why this is so insidious. We were talking about constitutional rights previously. Okay, and you had said something about the ability to do what you want to do, and I've heard it said before. The Constitution basically says this: you have the right to be you. You are free to be you. I am free to be free from you.
Yes.
That's the bottom line. And Jonah has the freedom and he has the right to express himself. But the left doesn't like that. See, the left would like to weaponize ideas, concepts, and speech that they don't like. And, you know, I've tried in my years in media to explain this, but I want to play a segment from a 2018 Netflix documentary called Alt-Right, The Age of Rage. This is Daryl Lamont Jenkins, and he is the founder and executive director of an organization called the One People's Project out of New Brunswick, New Jersey. I'm going to ask the producer to play this twice because I want you to listen very carefully. In this clip, Daryl Lamont Jenkins talks about the difference between legal freedoms and the freedoms that are afforded to you under progressive ethics and how they try their cases. Listen to this.
Hate speech is protected under the First Amendment, but that doesn't mean it's protected by ethics. It just simply means that they don't go to jail for it. But if what you say does cause some sort of harm, people are allowed to respond.
All right, so we're going to play that one more time, but think about this. And this is exactly what's happening in Great Britain right now, where they don't have freedom of speech, where if your words cause somebody to be offended, if their feelings get hurt,
Triggered.
if their ass gets chapped, if they get triggered, then there's a consequence for that. And they actually lock people up over this. We have freedom of speech, but and I'm paraphrasing what Daryl is saying, but we make it. The progressive left makes it so that way if you say something that we don't like, we can very easily go out and find somebody who became the victim of your free speech, and you will be held accountable to it. Maybe not in a court of law, but in the court of public opinion. Play that one more time. Listen carefully to this.
Hate speech is protected under the First Amendment, but that doesn't mean it's protected by ethics. It just simply means that they don't go to jail for it. But if what you say does cause some sort of harm, people are allowed to respond.
People are allowed to respond. And of course, you know, that's in keeping with the First Amendment. You have the right to speak your mind. I have the right to speak my mind.
Protest, counter protest.
But evidently now that means that we can plant, as one news report came out in the Associated Press today, 7 explosive devices in a Tesla dealership in Texas, or keying people's property, or assaulting people, physically assaulting people in public places, destroying property, doxing people, causing people to lose their jobs. Yeah, that's the court of public opinion, and it works with lightning quick efficiency.
Now, let me be completely clear, because this pendulum swings both ways. Okay? Prior to the sexual revolution, the culture in the country was primarily conservative, and if you did things that weren't viewed as passe, oh yeah, you shake your hips in the wrong way and you got canceled. You know, Footloose is a good example of that. You know, no dancing in public. We don't want any of that here. This is God's country. And then it swung in the opposite direction, violently so. Now we're at the end of that swing where we have gotten to the point of allowing the absolute intolerable while canceling everyone who disagrees, and we're swinging back in the opposite direction. And my warning to conservatives is, do not do the same thing the left is doing, wielding cancel culture, because you will only embolden it when the pendulum swings back in the opposite direction.
And that's one of the reasons I've said you have to be, and I am, an equal opportunity excoriator. We can't tolerate it simply because it works for us.
Yeah. Exactly.
We have to listen. If it's right, it's right. If it's wrong, it's wrong. And even if that works against me, I still have to call it out as being wrong, because at some point in time, it will be. I can't be a hypocrite, and neither can anybody in this room. Anybody watching this program, you cannot be a hypocrite. We're going to take a very, very quick commercial break. When we come back, we're going to continue the talk about the Tesla kerfuffle. We're also going to talk about domestic terrorism. Is this simply just political monetization of a current crisis, or is there actually some legitimacy to these claims of domestic terrorism? Much more when Granite State Live continues right after this. Please don't go away.
Not everyone can get up every day and look for ways to piss people off. But here at GraniteRock.com, we do that almost every day. I can't tell you how many times someone's lost their SHIT and threatened to end us. But we're still here, pissing people off. It's almost like we enjoy it. And we've been doing it since 2006. That's almost 2 decades of news, politics, and opinion, and now podcasts, and we're just getting started. We believe in principles before parties and politicians. We defend free markets and individual liberty, and if that makes you mad, it makes us smile. We're like Grandma after she stopped caring what other people thought. If that sounds refreshing, you need to check us out. This is Steve McDonald for Granite Rock, and we'll keep shining the light on them for you.
I'm Kristi Noem, the United States Secretary of Homeland Security. Thank you, President Donald J. Trump, for securing our border and putting America first. Let me deliver a message from President Trump to the world. If you are considering entering America illegally, don't even think about it. Let me be clear. If you come to our country and you break our laws, we will hunt you down. Criminals are not welcome in the United States. For too long, weak leadership has left our borders wide open, flooding our communities with drugs, human trafficking, and violent criminals. Well, those days are over. Under President Trump, we are defending American families and restoring their safety. If you try to enter illegally, you will be caught. You will be removed, and you will never return. Follow the law, and you'll find opportunity. If you break it, you'll find consequences. Strong borders mean a stronger America. President Trump is making America safe again.
If you love them enough to drive an hour to cheer them on as they get beat 11-0 in the rain, then surely you'll check NHTSA.gov/the right seat to make sure they're correctly buckled in the back seat.
Throw that ball, Diane. Woo! You got this.
The tender, soulful sounds of... Huh?
That one's for Christine.
That one's for Christine?
Yeah, your wife.
Why?
She's making your dreams come true.
Oh, she does make... Well, every day she does. Yeah.
She's not here tonight.
No, she's not.
That's a
No,
shout
unfortunately.
out.
The tender, soulful sounds of Hull and Oates. That's 1982, I think. I don't know. Probably. All right, we're going to try this caller again. And caller, if you are not able to get me to hear you, I would just suggest maybe *6 because I think you might actually be muting yourself. Are you there? He's muted. All right, I think you're muted. So if you hit *6, maybe you can. Let's try to unmute you here. All right. Are you there? you know, out of everything that doesn't work, it's the damn phones. Caller, press *6 if you could do that, please. *6, and then say hello. Are you there? Hello. Okay. All right. All right.
Sorry,
We're gonna.
Dan.
Yeah. Well, we go back to the drawing board here.
We'll give you a T-shirt.
Oh, boy. If you want to email your comment in, go ahead. GraniteStateLive@gmail.com. That's GraniteStateLive@gmail.com. Or you can send a email request over to the production team if you want to jump on. You can do video, too. That's always the possibility. That seems to work well, but I don't know what it is with these damn phone lines. So it's... I don't know. We'll have to get that figured out. All right. So, one of the things that Julian and I were talking about here is this whole concept that this is domestic terrorism. The Trump administration coming out and saying that these attacks against the Golden Boy there, which I'll be honest with you, I absolutely cannot stand Elon Musk. I don't like him. I don't trust him. It's not that I don't like the work that they're doing. I just question the person who is doing it, especially when you look at how much He monetizes private data, the access that he has to private data, and the fact that he is setting companies up that he directly benefits from for government contracts. That, I think, is a conflict of interest, and I don't think there's a lot of people who could really argue that point. I don't have an issue with what Doge is doing, but I question whether or not a person who is not a native-born American, who has citizenship in 3 countries, and who owns companies that monetizes private personal data is now in the position that he's in. Convince me that I'm wrong. 833-603-TALK. That is, if we had phone lines that worked. But, here's the thing. It doesn't mean that I don't like it. Okay, I have no problem with the Trump administration and what they're doing. I just don't like Musk personally because I think he's a fraud. I think he's a charlatan, and I think that he is in it for himself, and that's it. But I'm not going around destroying property. I'm not going around putting explosive devices in Tesla dealerships. To be honest with you, I know that this will work itself out. But the emotional, immature, radical left has now decided to take matters into their own hands and engage in domestic insurgency. We've talked about this here. Is this domestic terrorism?
So let's just do the definition first. Terrorism is the use of violence or threat of use of violence, often against civilians, to instill fear and achieve political, religious, or ideological goals, typically targeting governments or societies to intimidate or coerce them. That has multiple facets.
Yeah.
The use of violence or the threat of use of violence targeted against civilians and government entities in order to intimidate, to achieve political, religious, or ideological goals. So when you talk, now let's draw some lines. Keying a Tesla, throwing paint on one, spray painting Nazi, or tossing paint on the front of a Tesla building. All disgusting crimes within themselves, vandalism, whatever.
Destroying inventory at a dealership.
Destroying inventory.
Can you imagine being that dealership
now,
owner?
when you talk about attempting to blow up a Tesla or throw a Molotov cocktail at a Tesla, now you're hitting into the realm of domestic terrorism to accomplish a political goal. Now you're taking, that's violence. That's violence. When you're threatening and attacking people on the side of the road or as they're driving, that is now terrorism to accomplish a political goal, to get Elon Musk and Doge and President Trump to back off of what they're doing. That is now you're crossing a line. So I say the same thing when it comes to January 6th, people who assault political or police officers. I say the same thing when it was the BLM riots, when you're talking about destroying and Molotov cocktailing stores, taking over courthouses, flipping cop cars, engaging in violence. That I hold the exact same position no matter the circumstance. When you're spray painting and graffitiing stuff and you're being obscene, when you're destroying property as a form of protest, that is different when you're talking about vandalism. But when you get into the point of violence, of threatening violence, of blowing up people's cars, of attacking people, of threatening and following people, of attempting to run people off the road. Now you're crossing into a boundary that we need to be very clear about. And what I want to be clear about this is the call for this to be called domestic terrorism did not originate with Trump or Elon Musk. I made this point on a space with Maj Touré, the founder of Black Guns Matter, earlier today. It came from influencers first. Conservative influencers online with millions of followers each started calling this domestic terrorism. So the call actually came from within the culture to enact a political goal. Politics downstream from culture, as Andrew Breitbart said. Elon Musk and President Trump in his administration picked up on the calls and said, wait a minute, is there credence to this? That's where they started to look at this being domestic terrorism. So acknowledge where it came from and how we got to where we are, and now this is the conversation we're having.
So let me ask you this. Is this nothing more than enhanced penalties for certain categories or classifications of crimes? Or more appropriately, is this enhanced penalties for crimes that could, at least in theory, on the surface, have intent or specific intent attached to?
So my issue, I would agree with you that it is, and my issue with it is I was against the Crimes Against Women Act because every violent crime committed against a woman is already a felony. It's already a crime.
Yep.
I'm against the Hate Crimes Act because it doesn't matter what the motivation of the crime is. It's still a crime.
There we
if
go.
I beat your
There
ass,
we
choke
go.
you, rob you, harm you
There
in
we
any
go.
way, every single thing that I did in that was already a crime. Adding that incentive on top of it only empowers the state. And my issue is I'm very weary of the FBI because I know its history of political subversion. I know its history of being used in political corruption. And we just saw how the FBI for the last 10 years has gone after the conservative movement and is damn near universally populated at the higher levels by progressives. So I'm very weary of government control of these agencies to begin with. I don't want to hand another tool that will get used against us in 10 to 12 years.
I'm really happy that you said and you talked about the hate crime laws because this is something. So if you go out and beat a gay person to death, there's an enhanced penalty. If you go out and you beat your wife to death or your husband to death, then there's not the enhanced penalty. The bottom line is there's hate in your heart when you assault somebody. There's hate in your heart when you take another person's life. Why is one person's life more valuable than another person's life by virtue of their identity? I mean, that is identity politics on steroids. And so it's the same thing here. If you throw a Molotov cocktail at something, a structure or a vehicle or something, that is deadly force.
Yes.
You are throwing a flaming bottle of fuel at somebody. The outcome of that is logically death or serious bodily injury. That's a felony. So should it matter whether or not I'm doing it because I'm pissed off at some government entity or I'm pissed off at some person, or if it's just because I'm just pissed off, period?
No, I think it goes back to just classify it as arson. That's what it is. It's vandalism. It's arson. It's destruction of government it's destruction of private property. There's so many different ways. It's assault. It's vehicular manslaughter if you're trying to run somebody off the road. There's multiple ways to attack this, but my issue is when you start to call things terrorism, you're invoking the Patriot Act. And as a conservative, I had a lot of issues with the Patriot Act. I don't like some random fat past his time officer in the airport grabbing my junk when I go to fly. Like, I'm sorry.
It's the only reason I fly.
Well, I
love the cavity searches. I mean, we're going to try the. I really don't actually. We're going to try the caller. Fourth time could be the charm. Let's see if we got him here. Caller, are you there? No, I got the producer yelling at me. No. Okay, so
don't go there.
I guess evidently, that was the producer testing the phone line.
So
yeah, we go.
My issue is the tendency to throw the baby out with the bathwater. Let's be reasonable about this and don't empower the government to have a level of authority that will be weaponized against you as soon as conservatives are not in charge of said government.
Amen.
And as conservatives, we have a bad habit of racing to the bottom. I use this phrase a lot. It is the whole country and the world is spiraling down the toilet. And instead of trying to be the better option, the reasonable option, the principled option that the vast majority of society is begging for, we're following our irresponsible pundits, influencers, and media to see who can be the skid mark left in the bottom of the fucking toilet. God, please, people.
I want to back up though, and I hate to sound naive on this one. You guys can throw me out of the room, but are they upset because kind of your sentiment towards Elon? Or are they upset because he's finding? I don't think they're upset that he's finding fraud and waste.
No,
they think that
it's Trump.
They think that he's put in a position to do something that they didn't elect him to do.
That's not it.
It's
because their influencers are telling him that. So pick whatever your pet project is, your single issue on the left, and Elon Musk is the guy who's attacking it. That guy and Orange Man are taking away your women's rights. They're taking away your trans rights. They're going to gut the funding for this and for that.
Manifest that their ideology is being stomped on.
The
because
Democrats
they're willing
are
to go
good
to
at,
jail.
Yeah,
I mean, we saw the guy in Washington. he's willing to lose his job, be all over social media, to key a car, to be arrested. I mean, they're that passionate that they're willing to risk that.
Would you say it's passion, or is it just
They're
stupidity?
just not thinking.
No,
but there's enough of them doing it now that it's like, are you pausing long enough to realize what you're doing? Is your emotion, are you so angry that you're willing to pay the consequences of what you're about to do? Because it's not even a passion of crime, or crime passion at this point. They're all doing it. They all had time to think about whether they're going to burn a Tesla dealership. But my thing is, going back to Elon, like, why would you even put yourself in a position where people hate you this much?
Well, it is a crime of passion, though, because you got to remember, passion, there's no
Overrides
logic.
emotion.
There doesn't need to be logic in this when you're doing this stuff. That we tend to think logically. We're trying to be dispassionate in the way that we're analyzing this. But you got to remember, TDS is real.
Yeah.
And I look at TDS as one whole thing. There's the spectrum. There's the I love Trump and I worship Trump, and Trump can do no wrong. And on the opposite end of the spectrum, Trump is always wrong. He's the devil incarnate. And that's the factions that the average person is actually in between.
I keep saying.
And the influencers are arguing with each other, while the rest of us normal people are sitting here going, I didn't say that. And I didn't say that.
So let me ask you this:
Is
this where
answer for these positions that are being taken?
Is this where new media falls short?
Yes.
Yes.
Because there is a profit motive and the profit motive is raw engagement. And saying the untold thing, the thing you're not supposed to say, the foreboding thing drives controversy, which drives engagement, and every single one of these influencers gets paid for engagement, whether it's YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, X, it's all raw engagement. So you don't have to be right. What was it that Denzel Washington said? It's not the race to be right. It's the race to be first to say it. And that's irresponsible. And that's where we are right now.
We've had the tabloids at the grocery store to catch your attention, to grab your attention. Oftentimes, I will speak the unforbidden thing that you're not supposed to say about the school board member that just said he was stoned, right? And get crucified for it. She's on her next big, get every drama. I'm the town crier, whatever you want to call me. But at the same time, we've got to be able to look at the media and say that have the opportunity to speak truth, but no one is ever going to be 100% perfect or good or 100% evil. There's a lot of in between.
Yeah.
There's a lot of in between.
But everybody thinks that they are the voice of righteousness, that their voice is correct. It's that bias that I'm right and everybody else is wrong. It's like how many idiots are on the highway? Everybody except you. Everybody's an idiot, and nobody knows how to drive except you.
Nobody wants to be the one to look in the mirror.
No, and nobody wants to be able to admit that maybe their standpoint, that their position, their viewpoint might be biased. It might be skewed. It's you and I have talked about this before. We accuse the left, MSNBC, they're outrageous, and CNN, and they're outrageous and all that. I hate to tell you this, but you know what? Fox News and One American Network News and all of these every single news outlet is biased. We just give them a pass because, they're advocating our position. So, and here's the thing. It's the same thing with racism, right?
Yes.
If racism is really a thing, we can't tolerate racism, period. We can't, it's okay because it's benefiting me.
Yeah.
And how many times have we heard that? We talk about this on social media, clearing out social media and censorship in social media. We want to have all these lefties kicked off. Okay, well, guess what? That's what they've been doing to you for the past 15 years.
Yep.
And you're advocating for the very system that allows them to do to you what they do. You can't okay it simply because it benefits you. You're either going to call it out for being wrong or you're a hypocrite.
Now we're living in the backlash of cancel culture. When you say everything is racist, homophobic, xenophobic, bigoted, misogynistic, whatever, anti-Semitic, when you say that everything is bad, you get to a point where if everything's bad, nothing's bad. So now we've gotten to everyone that got canceled went over to Gab. They went over to Clout Hub. They went over to what was the other one? True Social and Parler. They went over there, and when there were people who were canceled and righteously deserved to be canceled. They asked for it. They begged for it. They hit every moniker of thing that you should not say for moral reasons, and then they went over there.
Well, why would somebody? I mean, aside from advocating violence, why would it be right for somebody to be canceled?
No, when I say people, I mean like they lumped in people who were actually racist with people who were just a little edgy. And now they all met each other over in all of these banished platforms or on Rumble or stuff where free speech is unfettered, where you could say anything you want. And now it's like, wait a minute, I got canceled and I was righteous. Maybe you're righteous too. We could be friends because we got canceled together. Now you put reasonable people who were just dejected and cast out from the norms of society in a group where now the actual bad actors can have a conversation and recruit normal people into their cause. And now that, say, X and Rumble are unvarnished free speech platforms where you can say whatever you want, now all these people are back. And they're back with a vengeance. And so, now it's let's go and say the unspoken foreboding thing.
I face this all the time on We the People NH. People come on and they'll say things that are totally not anything I align with. And I'm all about freedom to speech. But the way I look at it is, in my home, I want you to take your shoes off at the door. Because I don't want you to muddy up my carpets. Now, if you want to go build your own house and keep your shoes on, you have the freedom to go do that.
Yeah.
But in this space, we're not going to be Nazis. We're not going to be racist. We're not going to, we'll have civil discourse about topic matter, but there's certain things I will not allow in the group.
Yeah.
Because I don't align with it. That's my house. I built it. If you don't like it, you go build your own group and you let whatever conversations occur in your home.
I used to be in the nightclub business. Right. I had a dress code.
So
you can't commit. Well, this is a place of public accommodation. No, this is a private establishment. You can't come in here looking like that.
The First Amendment was the government down. Like, it was the government couldn't silence us. But if I go into a place of business and I say, I want you to make this for me, and that's not a product they make, I can't sit there and have a temper tantrum and say, you're going to accommodate me and what I want. Well, that's not even something we sell.
Well, you can if you're a leftist or a trans.
So
you can demand that now.
But so many times people say that's not constitutional, or you blocked my post or whatever. I'm like, yeah, your post was going to take us down, and we're here to come together to be optimize and effectuate change, and that's not going to happen if we get pulled off the off the platform. But people will stomp their feet. First Amendment, I can say whatever I want, wherever I want, however I want to say it. Yes, the government cannot silence you, right? But you cannot just go into something someone else created.
Yeah.
And completely, it's like building a sandcastle and some kid just wants to come stomp it out.
I run a business. You cannot say...
That's not what we're doing here.
Exactly. It goes back to that, we just had that cute, very, very, very attractive girl who just got fired from, Alaska Airlines because she decided to post on her Instagram a video of her twerking on a plane in uniform. You work for me. You're wearing my uniform. You're in my workplace in the airline that I own the business. I created the infrastructure. I created to provide a service to people. You are representing me. You do not have the right to do your nonsense and your antics,
misrepresent.
Yeah, and you don't get to decide what my branding is going to be. This is mine.
So if I like it, so here if I like it, then and this is really the way that the left looks at this.
Yeah.
If I like it, then it should be constitutionally required and taxpayer funded.
Yes.
And if I don't like it, then nobody should be able to engage in it at all, and there should be moral, ethical, and legal consequences for you engaging in it if I don't like it. Did I just pretty much summarize that appropriately?
And unfortunately, when you look at the influencers on both sides of the aisle, both sides take that position.
That's why I hate that word. I hate the concept of an influencer. You're not influencing anything. You're spouting rhetoric You're spouting opinion, and you're doing more to muddy the waters and create confusion about what reality actually is.
And if you ask the average person in the country, the vast majority of the people in the country, we care about very simple things, and we're willing to accept very simple rules.
We want to get up,
Live
go to
your
work,
life to the degree.
pay our bills.
Yeah. Life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness until you encroach upon my ability to the same. I want to pay my bills, go to work, spend time with my family on Friday nights, kick up my feet and drink a beer or a glass of bourbon and smoke a cigar. And you know what?
And
When
I don't
I
wanna
die,
have
I
to
want to be able
micro-
to pass down something to my kids other than
Amen.
debt.
I don't want to have to micromanage the people representing me and my tax dollars either.
Yeah.
I
the
really don't
average-
want to do this full time, people.
We want to be able to trust the people who represent us.
Exactly.
And we would hope that the influencers that are supposed to be our voice, who pattern themselves off of being our voices, would go out there and represent us responsibly. But the reality is the reason why the conversation always devolves is because these people have a profit motive that is not
monetized.
attached to any tangibles other than profit, fame, and personal advancement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This drives the conversation down, and the average person isn't being represented. And the worst part is they don't even know it, because most people are not on X. They're not which is the town square. That is where the media is. That's where the influencers are. That's where the most powerful people in the world are having their dialogue about everything that is happening. It is the most current news source in the world right now. It's all happening right there. And the vast majority of people are living their lives and don't have the ability to watch how poorly their influencers are representing them or to tamp them back and say, hey, dumbass, stop making us look stupid. You're counterproductive to what I really want.
Well, what's dangerous about X too is the left, so someone who's polar opposite of your political theology is not in that circle. So if we don't have civic discourse, if we're not able, iron sharpens iron.
What do you mean?
I would much rather.
You mean they're not on X?
Not much. I mean, there's a remnant, but if you talk to the average left-leaning individual, they hate X as much as they hate Tesla right now.
I will give you this, though. Most recent, up until Elon Musk took over X, it was 70-30, left to right.
Yes, but it's changed.
Now it's 48 to 49.
Oh, is it really?
48 to 49.
Interesting.
It is
Okay.
the most even town square you could
Okay.
possibly ask
That's
for.
good to know. I didn't know
because
that.
now neither side is being silenced. You get to go at each other. I get into debates with the Krasensteins,
Yeah.
and I'm in breaking news panels with people on both sides of the aisle where we attack everything.
Yeah.
All right, we've got about a minute left here. So one thing that I do want to do is I want to make sure that if people want to follow you, Julian, let them know how they can read your stuff. I know you got a couple of books that are coming out. So here's your opportunity for a quick shameless plug.
All right, so you can reach me on Julian Acciard 1 on X, or just search the Blue Collar Intellectual and you'll find my podcast. I have 3 books that are coming out. One, Breaking Black, The Republican Odyssey, Breaking Black, The Political Remix, and Breaking Black Code Blue. It'll be an eye-opener for anyone in the conservative movement who actually wants solutions and to damn the fucking rhetoric.
And Therese, I know if people want to follow you, We the People NH and
We the People NH.
Facebook.
You'll find me. Yep, you'll find me on Facebook and on X. Are pretty much the 2 primaries for me right now.
All right, that's going to do it for this Tuesday night edition of Granite State Live. We will be back next week at 7 p.m. to do it all over again. Until then, stay safe, be well, be nice to one another, folks. Civility actually does work. God bless. Have a great week.
Bye.